Get your shit together. Hello and welcome to my podcast. My name is Morgan. I am the emo knitter here on YouTube as well as on Instagram. And I live just outside of Seattle and I have this knitting podcast. This is what I do for fun in my spare time. I am primarily a labor and delivery nurse and I'm currently studying to become a certified personal trainer. Today I have a traditional podcast episode for you, so I will share finished objects, some works in progress, some future plans, and then I also am going to be sharing about books today because I asked in my last episode if that's something that people would be interested in, and it was a resounding yes. So I will put that at the end, so if you are just here for the knitting, you can happily make your way out of here when we're done talking about knitting. But thank you for being here, whether it's your first time or you've seen all of my episodes before. This is episode number 8 and I'm really excited to share a lot of new things with you. If you watched my last episode, you will have seen that I finished a lot of projects. It was very finished object heavy, so I spent the last, I think it's been, today is March 9th. I think it's been like a week and 2.5 weeks since I recorded last, and I spent a lot of that starting new projects. So I'm really excited to get into it. I will start with what I'm wearing. I'm sitting my coffee on a stack of books and I'm nervous it's gonna fall. This is my sunset sweatshirt. This is a pattern by Jessie May Designs. I knitted this in the fall. I used Farmer's Daughter's fibers, collaboration with Spin Cycle. So I used the Spinster's Daughter worsted for this sweater. I cannot remember the colorway name, but I will have the project details linked with my Ravelry page in the description. I will also have links to all of the other patterns that I share, as well as the yarns that I share. I also think that I'm going to start linking my Goodreads as well if I'm going to be starting to talk about books. So please feel free to add me on there. I'd love to see what you guys are reading as well. But yes, this is my sunset sweatshirt. I love it. It is slightly cropped. I'm gonna stand on my couch here. These are my new pants from Vans and I'm obsessed with them. Anyways, it's slightly cropped. My belly button is here. So when I lift up my arms, you can see my belly, but I wear basically only high-waisted pants, so it has not been a problem for me. But yes, I love this sweater. And it's probably right now my most worn pullover. Let's get into finished objects, of which there are one this week. And those are my February socks. If you've been here before, you know I am doing a year of socks this year inspired by Emily Curtis. So these are my February socks. I used Tiny Human Knits self-striping sock set, or sock yarn for this. I think it was an 85-15 blend, but I'm not positive. The colorway is called Folklore, and they're really freaking cute. I cast on 64 stitches. I think I did 20 rounds of a 2x2 cuff, which is my preferred. I like a 2x2 more than a 1x1. And then I just did a broken rib. I did a traditional heel flapping gusset, and I used a scrap yarn from my stash for this. I think it's from Craft Me Not Yarn Co., but I'm not positive. I do think it's a leftover from my, oh, what's that sweater called? I can't remember what this sweater is called, but it's my spring knit. I'm sure I'll be wearing it soon. Anyways, these are my February socks. I started them on February 6th and finished them on February 26th. So they took me 20 days and I used 67 grams of yarn in total to make this pair. I was nervous that I wasn't gonna finish the pair because the first sock took me a while. I just like wasn't really into sock knitting this month or last month. But then I knit the second sock in like 4 days. I got some sort of respiratory virus. It wasn't the flu, it wasn't COVID. I don't really know what it was, but I whipped up the second one. And my favorite thing about self-striping yarn is that they match, but they're not identical. So One's like leaning red, one's leaning blue, just because of the way that the stripes turned out. You can definitely make it so that you start with the same color on both socks, but I really like the non-identical matchy socks. So that is what I did. Okay, next I'm going to share works in progress that you have seen before. I'm going to start with my Lakes pullover. This is a pattern by Ozetta. I am buddy knitting this with a friend of mine who learned to knit last year. We started it on September 5th, and we have been doing like all of the big parts of this project together. So in the beginning, it's a saddle shoulder construction. So in the beginning, we were doing all of it together. We knitted the saddles, picked up stitches, cast on and picked up stitches for like the back and the front panels, things like that. Now we are nearly finished. She's working on her body ribbing and I'm working on my body ribbing, and then we're gonna bind off together and this project will be done. But this is what mine looks like. Again, I show this every single time and it grows just a little bit, but I can show you on this side actually. This is, the stitch marker is where I was last time I recorded, so I added just 1.5 inches or so to the body and then the ribbing. This is 12 rounds of ribbing and I did 16 rounds of ribbing for the sleeve. So I'm going to try it on and just kind of see how it looks. I would love for the ribbing to match up, but I'm nervous that it's going to be a little bit too long, so I may cut it short. But yes, this is a saddle shoulder construction. The pattern again is by Ozetta and I'm knitting it in Lion Brand Fisherman Wool in the color natural, or no, I'm sorry, in the color Brown Heather. We're both making the same sweater in the same color, so we're gonna have truly matching sweaters and I'm really excited about it. I love this sweater and I cannot wait to wear it. I think it's gonna be really cute with my new pants that I have on right now actually. And I think I'm gonna get a lot of wear out of it. It is very, very warm and it does not get terribly cold here, so I'm a little nervous about the practicality of wearing it, but I think that I will suffer through and just be really hot sometimes because I love this sweater. I would be very interested in finding something that's similar in a lighter, like a smaller gauge, so like a DK weight or even a fingering weight. Because I really love that construction. So if you have a sweater in mind when I say those things, please let me know in the comments because I love this sweater. Okay, the only other work in progress that you've seen before is one that I actually am frogging. So I haven't frogged it quite yet because I wasn't positive about my decision, but I had been working on my Jose, not really sure how to pronounce it, but the hood pattern that is incredibly popular from Norgard Knitters. And this is how far I had gotten. Oop. Very cute. Just, I was thinking about it, like picturing it in my wardrobe. I just take it off. Picturing it in my wardrobe, and I just don't know that it's practical for me to wear. I had originally cast on and intended on wearing it with like jean jackets and things like that because it rains a fair amount here in the state of Washington and my jean jackets don't have hoods, so I'll often find myself wearing like a hoodie underneath my jean jacket and sometimes that's just too much. But I think that I would get more use out of a shawl that I can also put over my head when needed, but wrap around and then also wear it as a true shawl. I hope that the words I'm saying out loud make sense, but I had worked almost a whole ball of yarn into this and then I decided to put that on hold, and by hold I mean I definitely ripped the needles out and did not put the stitches on hold, but I could pick them up if I wanted to. And I, on February 26th, cast on a Sophie shawl. And immediately I was like, I get it. I get the hype. This is addicting and it's squishy and I love it. So this is the progress I've made. I just picked this one up when I'm wanting something simple. It's a garter stitch shawl with I-cord edges on both sides. And it's just like very rhythmic. The increases are like every whatever amount of rows. So it just is very easy to just like pick up and work like 6 inches of it without even thinking about it. So it's a very mindless knit. And I'm really enjoying it. So I am planning on making the largest size, and I've seen a lot of like pictures on Instagram and things like that of people using this shawl and like kind of putting it over their head as if it was a hood, but still being able to wrap it around their neck. So I like the idea of being able to wear it in both ways. So I think that this is going to be a staple in my wardrobe, whereas the other one I wasn't sure if I could picture in my wardrobe. So that is why I made the decision that I did, and I have no regrets. I think it's really cute. This color is like so incredibly me, like to my core. My heart and soul is black in this color, so I think I'm gonna wear it a lot, in other words. So the Sophie shawl is a pattern by Petite Knit. I am making the shawl. She also makes it in a scarf and actually now a hood pattern as well. And I chose this again because I wanted the versatility of being able to wear it as a hood and a shawl. So there it is. And I love it and I have no regrets. So once I finish this ball, I will frog the hood and use that second ball. I actually have, I wasn't sure if I had the yarn. This is Barocco Alpaca Ultra Alpaca Natural. I got it when I was in Canada at Stash Lounge, and I originally intended to test knit the stick season jacket in this yarn and have full regrets that I didn't, because the yarn I chose did not end up working out. But if you've seen this podcast before, you know that. And we'll talk about that in another episode that I have planned. But anyways, I believe it is like a worsted to Aran weight. So I did not gauge swatch because I don't think shawls, scarves, beanies, I just don't really think need to be gauge swatched, and you can come for me and I will stand by this. But yeah, that's my Sophie shawl. And as I said, I love it. You will find a brown theme in my recent knitting and in my life. So just know that it all tracks. Okay, new cast-ons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 new cast-ons. 2 of them are baby knits. One I'm sure you're so tired of me talking about because I've knit, this is my 4th one. Another one is so cute, I can't wait to share it. And then I also do have a 3rd baby sweater I'm working on, but it is a secret project and I really don't want to spoil it for the recipient, so I'm not going to share it until it is completely finished and gifted. But it's something that I've been working on. I am not going to get emotional. I've been working on it for a really long time. She is a really good friend of mine who has struggled with fertility for almost as long as I've known her. And I started this sweater while she was going through ooh, don't get emotional. I am emotional because I just like, I know how hard she's worked for this. Anyways, she's pregnant and I started this sweater for her when she was going through IVF. I casted it on the day that she had her egg retrieval and she is now 16 weeks pregnant and whew, I didn't expect this today. Anyways, I'm just very excited for her. So I picked this sweater up and knit on it while I'm thinking about her, which is often, so it's almost done. But again, I don't want it to be ruined and I don't want to spoil it. I don't think that she watches these videos, but I would never ever want to spoil it. So that's something sacred and I will share it when it's finished. Okay, let's talk about another baby sweater that I've cast on. Actually, I'm going to start with one that you've seen me talk about this pattern several times. Oh, this yarn is stuck, hang on. You've seen me talk about this sweater several times. I cast it on another mini season sweater. This one is for a good friend of mine's baby who just turned 2, and I was the nurse that was his mom's, I was his mom's nurse when she was in labor and delivered him, and I watched him take his first breaths, and that is another thing that I will not get emotional over today. But it just is, I have the best job in the world, and being able to do that for the people closest in my life is truly the biggest blessing in the world, and I will never ever take it for granted. Anyways, he turned 2 this weekend, and he is a growing boy. He is like in the 100th percentile for both height and weight. He is like tall. He's just this little tiny human who is also huge in the best way. So I cast on a mini season sweater for him. His birthday was this weekend, but his birthday party is in April. So I'm knitting the size 3 to 4 for him because, again, he is large for his age and he's very tall. So I want this to be something that he can wear this year and next year. I am using Lion Brand's Wool Ease, which is my preferred yarn for this pattern. And this one is knitted in Forest Green Heather. So again, I'm knitting the size 3, which is 3 to 4 years, and I use 4.5mm needles. And I started this on March 4th. So it's only been on the needle for a few days. I did the back panel, and then this morning I worked the left shoulder. So I'll do the right shoulder and then the front, and then we'll be working in the round. This is a worsted weight. I've talked about this pattern so many times, but it works up really quickly, and I love it for baby knits. And that's all for that one. Okay, this next one I'm really excited about. So I am using the Holger sweater pattern by Petite Knit. This comes with a sweater and a pant pattern. I think it's called the Holger set, maybe? Holger set? I don't know. And I'm knitting this sweater. It's like a stripy sweater. And I am using yarn scraps. So these two, I have no idea where they're from, but these are my main colors. And they were caked up, and I don't think I've ever used them. So they were full skeins. And then my contrast colors are all like minis and like leftover yarns. Okay. And okay, so I'm making the size 2, which is 3 to 6 months. I'm working it on 3mm needles for the body and then 2.5 for the ribbing, which is to pattern. My gauge is larger than hers, so this is gonna be like a 6 to 9 month size, I think. I started on February 27th and I've finished the body and it's so cute. Okay, also though, I need advice because I feel like this looks like a crop top, but my friends are telling me just wait till you put the sleeves on. So that's what I'm doing, but if you're getting the idea that this is cropped, let me know. I tend to knit baby knits like way too long, but it is striped body, so I did a red contrast collar and a green contrast hem, and then one sleeve is going to be navy blue and the other sleeve is going to be that mustard color, and I'm so excited. What I want to share with you though is the cleanest stitch pickup I've ever done in my entire life. Hang on, I have to be able to point out where it is. Okay. So in the middle of this stripe is where I picked up stitches from the back panel for the shoulder. Are you kidding? Never in my life have I picked up stitches that cleanly. So Petite Knit writes it so that you, instead of picking up stitches for the shoulder in the stitch from the back, you do it next to the stitch from the back. I hope that makes sense. And oh my word, I cannot believe how clean this pickup is. So I'm gonna be doing that for every pattern for the rest of my life. But anyways, this is the Holger baby sweater, and I'm utterly obsessed with it because I think it's so cute. I'm knitting this for a friend who has another baby who's almost 2, and I knitted him a Friday sweater mini in very similar colors to these. The blue was the primary and then a cream for the like thin stripes. So it kind of matches his brother's sweater too, which is kind of cute. But yeah, I started that on February 27th and became quickly addicted and now just have the sleeves left. So she's due in early April, so I know it'll be done in time. Okay, what's next? Ooh. Okay, the things that are left are cast-ons for me, which is really fun. So the first thing that I cast on for myself is the Eva cardigan by Petite Knit. I am using this yarn. I have it actually not caked up right here. It is Pishkun by Farmer's Daughter's Fibers. This is a worsted weight, and this colorway is called Why Johnny Ringo. It's like a really pretty, like, kind of mustardy bronze, but like, when I hold it up next to this color, you can see that it's a little bit more brown than gold. I am making the size 2, and I'm using 3.75 millimeter needles. My gauge swatch was a little large. I'm a loose knitter, so I sized down 1 needle size, and I think it'll be okay. I also started this on February 27th, and I'm working on the yoke right now. I have this in a project bag by Megan Makes Do. I think she still makes project bags, but it's really cute, and it has a zipper. I really enjoy it. No pockets inside, but I don't mind that. Anyways, here's where I'm at. Ooh. So I have done, I'm trying to remember how this starts. A back panel, and then you do like this weird, I mean weird is probably the wrong word. The construction's very unique. So it almost looks like a saddle shoulder. So it's quite bunchy, but I think when it blocks out, it'll be really nice. I'm gonna throw this over my head so that you can see where I'm at. So this is where we're at. I'm hoping to finish the yoke this week. I'm nervous I'm gonna do up stitches. But this color, again, it's a little bit more brown than the golder sweater that I have on. And this color is gonna really fit into my wardrobe. I think that I'm gonna be able to throw it on all the time in the fall and winter. And I understand that it's winter right now and next seasons are spring and summer, but I don't really knit spring and summer appropriate items. I do have a few things that I'm planning on knitting this year, but I really just like to knit sweaters. So that's where we're at. I think I have, let me see what row I'm on. I have 12 more rows of the yoke, and then I split 4 sleeves, I think. So then I'm just working the body back and forth. This construction, unfortunately, does not work the button band with the body of the cardigan, which is my preferred, but I'm gonna do it anyways and hope for the best. And yeah, I don't have buttons or anything picked out for it yet, but I'm thinking I'll probably go with like a dark, maybe the black metal buttons that I had picked out for my balloon cardigan that I finished, but they were too heavy for that. This is a worsted weight, so it might be a better fit for this. I will try those out and see what happens, but that is so far down the line. We are talking months. Okay, and then the second sweater that I cast on for myself is the Broom sweater by Andrea Mowry, which I've been talking about for so long. This is the yarn I'm using. So it's, again, Farmer's Daughter Fibers Odang DK. I have 3 sweater quantities of Farmer's Daughter Fiber yarn. I got 2 at Flock and 1 at Sacred Sheep. This one's from Flock, this one's from Flock, and the previous one was from Sacred Sheep. So I don't know why all of that I have on the needles for myself right now is Farmer's Daughter Fibers, but it's nice. So anyways, I am using Odang DK, and this is the color Legend. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen that this yarn is, I don't want to use the word horrific, but it is not my favorite yarn I've ever caked up in my life. So it is a 100 gram skein. It is 246 yards, and it took me 34 minutes to cake up 1 skein. 34 minutes. It takes me 2 to 3 minutes on average to cake up a 100 gram skein of yarn. So anyways, I'm gonna try some tricks. I'm recording a project vlog for the broom sweater for the March to May, the DRK March to May knit along. So I'm trying not to double dip and give too much stuff in this podcast, but just know this is difficult to cake up. And I'm gonna try a few things out and I will report back on anything that makes it not as miserable. Anyways, the broom sweater by Andrea Mowry. I'm not sure if I'm gonna end up knitting a size 2 or a size 3. The finished bust sizes for those are 40 and 44 inches. I have like a 32 to 34 inch bust, and the pattern recommends I think 6 to 10 inches of positive ease. So I'm kind of like in the middle. I asked for advice in my last podcast for gauge swatching with this yarn, and I got a lot of really great ideas, and then I decided to throw caution with the wind to the wind and just cast on. I looked at the sizing, and for sizes 1 through 3, the collar and a lot of the yoke is the same stitch count. And then as you go further into the yoke, it separates because you have more increases for the bigger sizes. So I just decided to cast on, and I will measure my gauge later if I need to, or I'll just try it on. So I did not do a gauge swatch, and I don't have regrets. So I am working on the yoke right now. I started this on March 6th, and here is where I'm at. So the pattern starts with a very large, very long 1x1 knit collar, and then you fold it down and knit them together, which was quite difficult with this yarn, if I do say so myself. But then you start your raglan increases. And so I worked according to pattern. I cast on with 4mm needles, and then I did not increase my needle size to do the yoke. Again, I know that I have a large, or I'm a loose knitter, excuse me. So I tend to have to go down a needle size. So I am sticking with the 4mm needles throughout. I worked the German short rows per pattern, and now just kind of working through the yoke. Should I try this on? I don't know if it's gonna go over my head on these needles. And I don't want to lose stitches. Give me a sec. This is why we love knitting needle stoppers. These ones are hard to find the hole. Okay. I did try this on the other day because I had a moment of panic where I was like, this collar is humongous, but oh no, it's not gonna go over my head, I don't think. I'm gonna have to take my glasses off. Oh, that's ridiculous. Okay, so we're trying it on live in action. Okay, they're on the shortest needles possible. There's no way this is gonna look good, but the collar, you can see, is like nice and loose. And then when I have the body attached, it'll be, I think, a little bit wider, so it's perfect. I'm gonna take this off now. Anyways, so just a like loose, it's supposed to be like quite oversized, fluffy. I'm just really excited to have a black, fluffy, oversized hand knitted sweater to wear like every day. This is gonna be what they call my uniform, I think. Okay, my last new cast on is my March socks. I am doing a pattern mashup from two patterns from Summerly Knits. One is her March Colorwork Cuff Club pattern. So if you haven't heard of the Colorwork Cuff Club before, it is a monthly, I would say subscription, but it's not, because you pay one time for the pattern and you get a new colorwork like leg chart every month of the year. It started in September, maybe August last year, and it'll run until it hits a year. And every month you just get a new chart in your email, and it's so fun. So this month it was a cute little like daisy chart. Oh, I dropped stitches. And so I decided that I wanted to make them. And she also recently, before I got the Colorwork Cuff Club chart, she had released the Comfort Core sock collection, which she made the pattern based on a pair of Nike Crew socks that she wears for like walks. And so they're supposed to be like very form-fitting and very comfortable. So I originally intended on making just those socks, but then I got the color work chart and I was like, let's mash them. So that's what we're doing. The yarn I'm using is very old from Explore Knits and Fibers. The main color is called Walks Along the Prairie, and then the secondary color is Treasure Chest. This is her Denali sock base. So these are the two colors in that sock set. Something about golds lately, I guess. So the main color is just like, kind of like, it's cream with pinky, blacky gold speckles. It's just really nice. And then I also pulled another mini from my stash so that I have the two contrast colors that I needed for the color work chart. And I love it. They just pair really nicely together. So I did not know when I cast them on that the color work chart is three color work, which I've never done before. I got low census at work the other day and decided that I was just going to not think about it and knit. So I knitted the three color work chart, and here is what we got. They are in desperate need of a good block, but I think they'll work out okay. So you can see they're just like daisies. This stitch marker is from Hello Stella, and it's so cute. So I knitted the cuff and the leg, and then I next have to do the heel flop and gusset, and then I'll work the Comfort Core sock, or Comfort Core foot, basically. So that should be really fun. So they're kind of like shorties. I think this is probably a total of 25-ish rows for the leg, and I think I did a 15 row cuff that I'm just realizing I did one by one, which is not my norm, but it'll be okay. So yeah, those are my March socks. They're shorties, so I'm hoping that I'll get them done quickly, but I haven't picked these up since I did the color work chart, so. Okay, next let's get into some plans, and I have one acquisition. I made it a goal this year to learn how to spin, and I am super excited. This month I am taking classes at La Mercerie to learn how to spin. So I will be traveling to Bainbridge a couple times this month, and I will hopefully learn how to do it. And I think that I'm going to be able to rent a spinning wheel. The classes are 2 weeks apart, so you can kind of like practice. So I'm hoping I can rent a wheel to practice in between those classes. Anyways, I plan on recording a vlog to share the process of learning how to spin. If that's something that you're interested in, please let me know. I have been dying to learn, but have a lot on my plate, so I'm hoping that this isn't too much for me. But I also have one acquisition. I am in the Freckled Whimsy Halloween sock club. This is a 12-month subscription, and this is number 11, so this is the second to last one. If you have not opened it yet, skip ahead a couple minutes, but this one is called Wicked Awesome. It's a self-striping sock. It's a 100-gram self-striping skein and then a mini to pair, and this is the set this month, and it's so cute. It's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it's a 4-ply fingering. It's called Wicked Awesome, and it's very Halloween-y to me. I was pretty disappointed in the February set because it was pink. And I get it, Valentine's Day, but I wish it had been black. Like, I don't think I'm gonna use it. Let me grab it. Okay, so I grabbed it. So it was called Happy Pinkoween. Like, I'm not gonna, it's a disappointment because I'm not gonna knit with it. So, I don't know, maybe I'll give it away or something. Cause it's nice, it's pretty, it's self-striping, it's just, it's fucking pink, and I I just don't do pink. That's a me thing. It's still a gorgeous yarn. It's not a me thing. But anyways, this month is back to Halloweeny and I'm very happy about it. These minis keep coming undone. I am under the assumption that this is like Wicked inspired just because of the name. But it's very cute. And I will be making a pair of self-striping yarn with this one for sure. I'm sorry, a pair of self-striping socks with this one for sure. It's really cute. Okay. And that is it for the knitting content today. That was a lot. We're almost 40 minutes in. Whoops. But I did have a lot of cast-ons. I had a lot to share. I'm really, really, really excited to learn how to spin. I have seen a lot of different podcasters on YouTube go through that journey, and I'm really excited to experience it myself. Again, I will be recording the whole process, and hopefully it's easier than it looks because I'm pretty intimidated. I am going to get into some of my books, so if that's not something you're interested in, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next episode. For those of you sticking around, I want to share what I've recently read, what I'm currently reading, and then some book pickups. So the last time we chatted, I said I was reading a horror novel, so I read a 2-book series. Malice House and Midnight Showing. They are both by Megan Shepherd. Malice House is first and then Midnight Showing. So Malice House is a horror novel and it's very like imaginative horror is what I would say. Like it's like when you read a fantasy novel, you can like picture the dragons and the fairies and things like that. And if you can't get into a horror book that's the same way, then I would not recommend this series because it's definitely very like creature focused, right? So you have to be able to picture those demon creatures in your brain, right? So the first one really sets the scene. It is so creepy. I remember there were periods where I could not read it before bed because I was so creeped out. But a older author passes away and his daughter comes to his house in the Seattle area to kind of tie things together, and we find out that in his later years he suffered with some like dementia. He was seeing things and hearing things, and he wrote a little book about this that she finds. And long story short, and not to give anything away, but she ends up experiencing a lot of the same like creatures that he had talked about. And so the first one really sets the scene and it introduces you to a lot of these eerie, creepy creatures. And then the second one, the storytelling is just absolutely incredible, and it really wraps things up nicely. So I really enjoyed them both. The first was really important for setting the scene, but again, I did like the second one more because of the story. But if you are someone who likes horror, especially imaginative horror, I would recommend them. Okay, what I'm currently reading, when I read hardcover books, I don't keep the book sleeves on, which is quite annoying for things like this, so I apologize. But the first book that I'm reading is The Frozen River. I'm going to see if I can find here we go. The Frozen River. This is a book by Ariel Lawhon. It's a historical fiction set in the like late 1700s. The main character is a midwife, and it just goes through all of the different like births that she sees. But because it is in the time setting that it is, she's also the only like medical professional in her town. So she also attends to other people in need. I'm really, really, really enjoying the story. It is not super like birth focused, so if that's not something you're interested in, I think that you would still enjoy this. It is very like women empowerment. That's the vibe that I'm getting, and I love it. It also goes into a little bit of the history between the midwife, the main character, and her husband, and it's just like a really sweet, wholesome love story. So I am almost halfway through and I'm really, really enjoying it, and I cannot wait to pick it up again when I'm done recording. The book that I'm reading before bed is a nonfiction as well. It's called I Heard There Was a Secret Chord. And the author, I can't remember his first name. David Levitin. It is all about the brain and how music is therapeutic and the impact that music and like the different chords and life music and listening to it in the car and memories and things like that, like how music in general affects the brain and how it can be therapeutic, and I am absolutely loving it. It's a slow read for sure because it's very dense, but I am annotating the crap out of it. I will try to show you. You probably can't see, but I'm like highlighting and underlining. It is just like absolutely fantastic. I really enjoy reading books about the brain. Oliver Sacks, I'll share a couple of his books later, but Oliver Sacks is one of my favorites and I've always enjoyed reading his books. And this one in particular is really interesting to me because I also love music. So I'm really enjoying this. If you are someone who enjoys music or enjoys learning more about our brain and how we process things, I would recommend this even though I'm only like 60 pages in. The last book that I'm reading, I tend to have 3 books at once going. This is my morning read that I will read with my like morning beverages. It's called I'm Sorry for My Loss. It's also a nonfiction and it's by Rebecca Little and Colleen Long. I am like just barely into it, but I'm also annotating the crap out of this one. I will not get political on this channel, but I do work in healthcare, I do work with women and infants, and I do think it's important to understand reproductive health and how the decisions that women make about their bodies, the decisions that birthing people make about their bodies impact their lives and the lives around them, and the big stigma around reproductive rights right now. I am not going to get political, but I think that as someone who works in women's health in healthcare, it is essential that I am reading things like this. So it shares experiences of people who have experienced pregnancy loss. So please know that before diving into this. It is very heavy on pregnancy loss. It's not for everyone and it can be very triggering. So please know that before you dive into this, but it is very eye-opening to read these stories from women who have experienced this. As a labor and delivery nurse, I have also been there in those moments where people find out the worst news of their life. I always tell people high highs, low lows in labor and delivery, and so I can also resonate really heavily with some of these stories. Anyways, if you are someone who is interested, I also highly recommend this. This one came highly recommended from one of the doctors that I work with, and I think that by reading things like this and by remembering the words that these pregnant people are saying, we can make a better impact on their lives and hopefully end the stigma and recognize that all loss is loss and not make people feel shameful for it. And that's all I'll say. Okay. The last thing I'm going to talk about are some book pickups. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. I went to Bainbridge recently and went to a used bookstore and found some Oliver Sacks books. So, On the Move and Musicophilia. This one is similar to the book that I'm reading right now, but it's by Oliver Sacks. So, obviously, I've read a lot of his books. These are 2 that I have not read, and I'm really excited. This one is actually a memoir, I think, memoir style book about him. So I'm really excited to learn more about his life and how he got into the things that he writes about. I picked up this one, which is like everywhere right now. I really enjoy books like this that are just like, here's things that you can do to live a better life, right? And then another reproductive health book. It's not Hysteria. I have a lot of books about women's health, reproductive rights, reproductive health, things like that. It's just something that I'm really interested in, not only as a labor and delivery nurse, but as someone who's studying to become a personal trainer with the intent on creating programs for postpartum, pre, peri, and postmenopausal women. I just am really interested in women's health, and I think that it's important that we educate ourselves because I find it hard to find information on the female body and what it goes through, especially in those phases. So I'm trying to make it better. Okay. Oops. This is a stack. So they opened a new Barnes & Noble, like very close to where I live, and I have been saving Barnes & Noble gift cards that I've gotten for like birthdays and Christmas and things like that, knowing that this is open. So I paid $0 for these books, but I'm really excited about them. So I'm just gonna kind of rapid fire. The new Grady Hendrix. This is a Barnes & Noble exclusive, and it just has some like frilly like chapter pages. Wait, is this one about... This one's also about pregnancy, I think. Classic. Okay. I also picked up this copy of When the Moon Hatched. A few of my friends have read this recently. It's a fantasy and they like rave about it, and I found this really pretty copy. So I decided to pick it up. It's by Sarah J. Parker. It's a fantasy. I picked up this horror, Fantastic Lands, that I've been hearing a lot of really good things about. It looks like it's a quick read. It's like 160 pages. This book I bought because of the cover and the cover alone. This is Rebel Witch, which is the sequel to A Heartless Hunter, which is a fantasy about witches that I loved last year. So I'm excited to read this. I think I'm going to reread Heartless Hunter before I read this, just to refresh my memory, but I'm excited about that. And then another book about the female body. Another book about the brain, but I'm really excited about this one. I am particularly interested in sleep and things like that. So The Nocturnal Brain. And then this one is from my book club, Leanne Moriarty, Here One Moment. It's a big one. Anyways, my battery's gonna die. If you enjoy book talk, please let me know. Like book talk, like T-A-L-K, not T-O-K. I don't have TikTok, so let me know. I would love to hear what you're reading. I would love recommendations for things that you think I would enjoy. I tend to read a lot of like thriller and horror. I dabble in fantasy once in a while, and then I'm in a few book clubs, so I read books that are associated with the book clubs as well. I read a lot of books about the brain and the human body. I'm not sure where I was when that battery died, but I read a lot of thriller, horror. I read a lot of books about the brain. I dip into fantasy. I read a lot of books about the human body. That's just what I'm interested in. Anyways, would love to chat about what you're reading. Would love to also hear what you are working on knitting wise, and if you've learned to spin recently, let me know how it went. I'm excited, but I'm also like a little nervous and intimidated just because it's something new and I have raging ADHD, so I'm a little nervous that I'm gonna get hyperfixated and not want to do anything except for spin. And my next quarter for school starts in a week, so hopefully I can keep myself controlled. I think that I'm good about setting timers and things like that and limiting myself on like, okay, I'm gonna knit for an hour and then I'm gonna study for an hour and then I'm gonna knit for 15 minutes and then I'm gonna study for an hour and then I'm gonna knit for half an hour and things like that. So I think it'll be okay. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you made it this far, kudos to you and thank you. I'm really looking forward to all of the projects that I have on the needles right now, all of the books that I'm reading, and excited to see what the next few weeks brings. I am recording a couple of vlogs, doing the broom sweater vlog, and then I'll be doing a vlog about learning how to spin, so please keep an eye out for those. If you want to see more content from me, please feel free to subscribe, and if you like this video, I'll take a thumbs up, but also would love to just hear in the comments what you're working on, what you're reading, anything you want to share, and I will see you in the next episode. Happy knitting!